Hey everyone, welcome back to TV Deep Dive. I'm your host, Amelia, and today we're breaking down the explosive season finale of CBS's groundbreaking drama, Beyond the Gates. If you've been following our weekly recaps, you know this season has been building to something massive, and episode 25, titled Reckoning, delivered in ways we couldn't have imagined. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming analysis of the entire first season. This is your final warning. We're covering everything in this finale, including all those jaw dropping revelations and cliffhangers. Let's step back into Oakwood Estates for what might be its most transformative day yet. After 24 episodes of mounting tensions, buried secrets, and power plays, Reckoning brings nearly every storyline to either a satisfying conclusion or a tantalizing cliffhanger. The episode revolves around the long awaited Oakwood Estates Founders Day celebration, ironically scheduled on the very day that the community's foundations are crumbling beneath the weight of exposed secrets. The structure of this finale was masterful, weaving together the culmination of Vernon and Bill's decades long rivalry, the final stages of Danny's investigation into the community's origins, Nicole and Ted's marital implosion, and Leslie Thomas's long game revenge plot. What makes this finale particularly brilliant is how it mirrors the pilot episode's charity gala, but with the facade of perfection now completely shattered. The same characters gather in the same spaces, but with entirely different power dynamics and with truths that can no longer remain hidden. Let's break down exactly how this season finale delivered on promises made throughout these 25 episodes while setting up an even more compelling second season. The episode begins deceptively quietly with morning routines across Oakwood Estates. The camera work here is brilliant, revisiting the same sweeping shots of perfect lawns and magnificent homes we saw in the pilot, but now with a knowledge of the darkness that lurks behind every door. Anita Dupree's preparation for the Founders Day celebration parallels her preparation for the charity gala in episode 1, but the contrast in her demeanor is striking. Where once she projected perfect confidence, we now see glimpses of fear as she takes an early morning call from her private investigator. The opening sequence gives us brief check ins with each major character, all seemingly preparing for the celebration while actually making preparations of an entirely different sort. Vernon finalizing documents in his study with uncharacteristic desperation. Bill Hamilton looking unusually satisfied while viewing something on his laptop. Danny meeting secretly with a journalist in a cafe outside the gates. Nicole packing a suitcase while Ted sleeps. Unaware Leslie Thomas making a final entry in what we now know is her decades-long revenge journal, Martin and Smitty discussing what appears to be relocation plans. These quiet moments effectively build suspense while reminding us just how far these characters have traveled since we first met them. The directors make brilliant use of mirrors and reflections throughout this sequence, a visual motif that has run through the entire season. As guests begin arriving at the community center for the celebration, we're treated to a series of brilliantly written interactions that showcase the new alliances and enmities that have formed throughout the season. The entrance of Chelsea Hamilton on Martin Richardson's arm, a relationship that developed from unlikely allies to genuine romance, draws visible shock from both the Hamilton and Richardson patriarchs. Their relationship, once merely a rebellion against their families, has evolved into something that might actually bridge the community's deepest divide. The brief but loaded exchange between Anita and Eva Thomas, once bitter enemies who now share the burden of protecting certain community secrets, demonstrates how masterfully the writers have developed complex relationships throughout the season. The ceremonial aspects of the celebration are rich with irony, particularly Vernon's speech about the legacy we leave for future generations, while Danny sits in the audience with evidence that could destroy that very legacy. The tension is palpable as Vernon makes pointed references to those who would threaten our community from within, his eyes briefly meeting Leslie's across the room. The direction in these scenes emphasizes isolation within the crowd, each character framed alone even in the midst of the community gathering, symbolizing how secrets have ultimately separated them all from one another. The rivalry that has driven much of the season culminates in a private confrontation in Vernon's office. Bill finally reveals that he's acquired proof of Vernon's involvement in the death of Marcus Johnson, the community's original third founder, whose mysterious accident has been referenced throughout the season. Vernon's shock turns to resignation when Bill reveals that Anita was his source, confirming the betrayal that viewers have suspected for weeks. In perhaps the most powerful scene of the episode, Danny interrupts the celebration to publicly announce her findings about the illegal displacement of the original residents to build Oakwood Estates. The direction here is stunning, focusing on reactions across the room as community members process this challenge to their entire way of life. After discovering Ted's involvement in financial schemes with Leslie Thomas, Nicole confronts him not with anger, but with a cold recognition that their marriage has been built on mutual exploitation rather than love. Their scene in the garden provides a quiet counterpoint to the public confrontations, but is no less devastating. The revelation that Martin was actually raised in the displaced community that preceded Oakwood Estates, information he's hidden from everyone, including his husband, provides the emotional core of the episode. His public testimony supporting Danny's claims brings his season-long identity struggle to a powerful conclusion. The editing in this sequence deserves special mention, cutting between these confrontations to build a crescendo of revelations that feels both inevitable and shocking. The score subtly incorporates themes from earlier episodes, creating musical callbacks to moments that now take on new meaning. As news spreads throughout the celebration, we witness the community splintering into factions, those aligning with Vernon's vision of protecting Oakwood Estates at all costs, those supporting Danny's call for accountability and restitution, and those primarily concerned with protecting their own interests. Several key moments stand out in this sequence. 1. Anita's unexpected public support of Danny, breaking from Vernon for the first time in their marriage, a development that pays off her season-long internal conflict between family loyalty and her own moral boundaries. 2. Chelsea Hamilton's confrontation with her father about his knowledge of the community's origins, finally stepping fully out of his shadow. 3. Ava Thomas finally revealing to Leslie that she's been aware of her sister's manipulation and has secretly been working to moderate the damage, recontextualizing many of their interactions throughout the season. 4th, Smitty's emotional response to learning Martin's true background, a scene that powerfully addresses issues of class and privilege that have been subtly explored throughout the season. The visual symbolism reaches its peak as a summer storm breaks over the celebration, sending guests scattering, some taking shelter together, others leaving entirely. The community literally fragments before our eyes, the carefully maintained unity of Oakwood Estates dissolving. Cornered by Bill's blackmail and Danny's public revelations, Vernon initiates what appears to be a long-planned contingency, making calls to trigger financial maneuvers that will potentially bankrupt several community members while protecting his own assets. The sequence revealing that Ted Richardson is unknowingly the fall guy for this scheme is particularly devastating. As tensions peak, the Historical Community Center, which contains many of the original documents about Oakwood Estate's founding, mysteriously catches fire. The ambiguity about who started it, with clear implication that it could be Anita, Bill, or Leslie, creates a perfect mystery to carry into next season. In the episode's most shocking twist, a car approaches the gates as emergency vehicles respond to the fire. The driver, revealed in the final moments to be Marcus Johnson, supposedly dead for 20 years, returns to Oakwood Estates amid the chaos. His expression as he surveys the community he helped found, now in disarray, creates a perfect cliffhanger. The technical achievement in this climactic sequence is remarkable. The fire scenes are visually stunning, with the symbolic destruction of the community's historical heart made literal. The sound design deserves special mention, with the fire alarms, thunder, and emotional score creating a sensory experience that mirrors the characters' internal chaos. In the aftermath of these explosive events, the episode gives us brief scenes with each major character that perfectly set up their trajectories for season 2. Danny receiving a call from the journalist confirming the story will run nationally, followed by an unexpected job offer from a social justice organization, Nicole discovering Ted's financial ruin while finding evidence of her mother's possible involvement, Martin and Smitty making the decision to move to the displaced community to help with restoration efforts, Chelsea taking control of Hamilton Industries after her father's apparent breakdown, Leslie realizing her revenge has succeeded but left her ultimately empty. Anita sitting alone in her perfect home, finally separated from Vernon, contemplating a photo of herself with Vernon and Marcus from 20 years earlier. The final sequence follows Vernon as he attempts to flee Oakwood Estates, only to find police waiting at the gates, leaving ambiguous whether they're there for him or responding to the fire. The episode's final shot, a slow aerial pullback from Oakwood Estates at night, now with emergency lights flashing and the community center in flames, creates a perfect visual bookend to the season, which began with an aerial view of the perfect, peaceful community in daylight. The show has consistently examined how wealth and status require moral compromises to maintain, with each character facing their own reckoning with what they've sacrificed for security and status. The generational conflict between those who built Oakwood Estates and those who inherit it has evolved from a simple parent-child tension to a nuanced exploration of historical responsibility. From the pilot's introduction of perfect facades hiding troubled lives, the season has systematically stripped away layers of pretense, culminating in this finale where no secrets remain hidden. The show has brilliantly explored how communities simultaneously unite and divide people, with Oakwood Estates serving as both protection from the outside world and prison for its residents. The character arcs have been particularly well crafted, especially Danny's evolution from idealistic but naive law student to principled whistleblower, and Martin's journey from uncomfortable community member to someone reconnecting with his true identity. The production values have remained cinematic throughout, with the finale's fire sequence serving as a technical high point for broadcast television. The costume design deserves special mention for its subtle evolution throughout the season, with character relationships and power dynamics reflected in color palettes and styling choices. Based on these cliffhangers, Season 2 appears poised to explore. 1. The truth about Marcus Johnson's death and where he's been for 20 years. 2. The legal and financial fallout from Vernon's schemes and Danny's revelations. 3. The possible reconstruction of the displaced community, with Martin potentially bridging both worlds. 4. A power shift with the younger generation, Danny, Chelsea, Martin, taking control from their parents. 5. The mystery of who started the fire and what evidence might have been destroyed or preserved. The return of Marcus Johnson particularly opens fascinating possibilities. As the third founder, he may have his own version of events that contradicts both Vernon and Bill's narratives. His connection to Anita, hinted at throughout the season, seems likely to become a central focus. Beyond the Gates has delivered a first season that transcends typical network drama, offering nuanced examination of class, race, and power within a compelling package of secrets and lies. The finale perfectly balances resolution and cliffhangers, giving viewers satisfying conclusions to many storylines, while ensuring we'll be counting the days until Season 2. The performances, particularly from the actresses playing Danny and Anita, deserve Emmy consideration for their work in this finale. The writing team has created a world that feels both specific to the Black upper-class experience and universal in its exploration of human weakness and strength. What did you think of the finale? Were you shocked by Marcus Johnson's return? Do you think Vernon will face justice? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button and subscribe for our upcoming season overview and predictions for Season 2. Thank you for watching our Beyond the Gates recaps this season. I've loved discussing this groundbreaking show with all of you. See you soon for more in-depth TV analysis.